All right, folks, this is Xearrik, and this is a review of episode 2 of Cyberpunk Edgerunners, and I hope you like the music. I think it's appropriate. And I gotta say, I like this episode more than the first episode. Now, I didn't dislike the first episode or anything, and you can watch my review of that one and understand the criticisms, and it's basically the speed of everything, just how fast everything goes. In this episode, it took its time. It introduced a new character, and you really got the whole episode to do it. And even though it's like a 20-minute long episode, it still didn't feel like it was a breakneck speed because, well, you get the whole episode. Like, I really like how they spent a lot more time with the new character. You really get to know a lot more about her and get a lot more of a sense of who she is and little hints about who she may be later on, like the whole moon thing. I believe that was the moon, right? Because of the low gravity. I thought maybe it was Mars, but I think it was the moon. Yeah, it definitely was the moon because Earth was so big. What am I thinking? But yeah, I'm not just interested in what their relationship will become, but I'm interested in her as a character because she wasn't just like the school bully who was just so one note. But it does give me one little issue, though. I do have one little issue with it, and that's that it ends on a cliffhanger. And normally that's not that bad of a thing, but I know that the entire show is going to end on a cliffhanger if that ended on a cliffhanger. It might not, it might not. This might be a one and done series. I like one and done stuff. That's one of the reasons why I like Cowboy Bebop so much. And, bringing up Cowboy Bebop, that puts to mind another thing. And I believe I mentioned this in episode 1. Why does everything that comes out of Japan have to be about kids? What happened? From my childhood, many of the best and most beloved things from fellow children that I, like me, when I was a kid. Hello, fellow children. But when I was a kid, had adults in it. And of course there were tons of stuff that had kids, but there was tons of stuff that had adults. Like Dragon Ball didn't really take off that much in the US, but Dragon Ball Z, when Goku was a grown-ass man with a child, now that blew up. And there's lots of stuff like that. See, my main criticism of it isn't that it's a bad thing. I like it. It's fine. But the problem is when you have young, inexperienced people and then you tell the story, they always have the exact same background, which is fairly blank, and they're fumbly and all this other stuff, and they're not as competent. And that's fine, but there's something to be said for those grizzled old veterans that have been hardened and battle scarred, and they're competent and professionals in what they do. Very skillful people like Spike from Cowboy Bebop. Like, we didn't start out with him being like a bumbling, no, he was an expert from the beginning. And they tend to be slower, more methodical, sometimes a lot more pessimistic about the world too, and it creates a much different background. Like Deckard from Blade Runner, I mentioned that in the first episode, I'm almost certain. There was so much stuff, there was so much media like that was popular when I was young. I miss it. I don't know why everyone has to be children nowadays, children or young adults. And this isn't a criticism of the show, like I said. It's something the show brought to mind. And I've gone off on quite the tangent here. Do I have anything else to say about this episode? I liked it. I like the budding relationship, as you could tell, from the music choice. And what else? The unlimited power. Unlimited power. At first, when he started using the cyber thingy, I was a bit worried. I was like, ooh, that's pretty OP. What's going to happen there? But then they go ahead and right off the bat, they give it a limit. They're like, okay, no more than 2 times a day. And I'm like, oh, there we go. That's better. This is getting a little silly. This dude's like, he's got this, and this other kid's jacked up like crazy, and he's not even moving anywhere near as quick as him. He's not perceiving anything anywhere near. It was like he was beating up it was like Spider-Man beating up that bully in that old movie. Did he actually beat up that bully? Or did the bully just hurt his hand in the locker, and he was just like moved out the way and looked at the hand confused? Yeah, it was like that. It's like it wasn't fair. It was like he's the only superhero now, that he's that jacked up. But there's a limit to it. I like that. I really like that they put a limit on it. Anything else? I do like how the EMT tried to rob him. like even the EMTs, like yeah, dude. That cyberpunk setting is crazy. It's a crazy world. Who made that again? What's his name? I've heard his name several times, but I always forget his name. That's right, Mike Pondsmith. Mike Pondsmith. He created a really crazy world. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. I typed in his name. Hold on. He's credited with some Dragon Ball Z stuff. What? Dragon Ball Z, the anime adventure game by Mike Pondsmith. What? All right. I gotta end this. This is a terrible review. I'm going off on all these little things. That's a funny coincidence that I bring up Dragon Ball, and that apparently the guy who's the original creator of Cyberpunk 2020 world actually had something to do with Dragon Ball at some point. That's funny. Anyways, that is it for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and watch episode 3 at some point. Let me know how you feel about episode 2. And I'll try to stay on point a little more in the next review. We'll see. This is Xearrik, and I'm out.